894. 894.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's try to be the most coherent and cohesive for this episode, as I have a tendency to ramble, and that would not be best for today. I have a bunch of stuff to go over. So what we have is crickets in my garage. As usual, they fire up right when the camera does. And we have an update for Mitch's Mustang. A lot of people have been asking. I also was very excited to go over all of this. I actually have notes to make sure I stick to the plan and don't get sidetracked too terribly. So what we have here is Mitch's car was going, we never expected this. It was a pull-out, 266,000 miles. It had like a used truck cam in it from PCMs for Less that I had in 8s for 8, and then we decided to throw it in. The whole orchestra is joining in. His best, he wanted a 9-second car, so we yanked this motor out of his 2500. That's a story in itself. I can go over a very long update of this if you guys are interested, but I don't want to crowd this video. So Mitch had a turbo truck. He wanted to put it in a notch after helping with 8s for 8, and he was like, all I want to do is go 9s with a street car that I can drive, that I can actually drive places and have fun with, registered, insured, whatever. So it was a high 9 and then a mid 9-second car on average, and then absolute best end of the year, negative 2,000 DA, perfect pass. We ended up with a 932, and this was a 6-liter with a billet Gen 1 7875, one of my favorites, and that's incredible. It's an incredible result, so much so that I'm like, hey, we're knocking on 8s. What we should do is a turbo upgrade. And one of my next favorite turbos is a billet 80mm 88 turbine T6, because once you're T6, it's easy to go to a larger turbo. Like even something as crazy as like a Pro mod. Honestly, you can jump right into it if you want to get wild. So what we have also here was thinking about redoing the turbo kit to fit an 80mm T6. I had spare parts for Monkey Fab. If you watch a bunch of my videos, Monkey Fab hooks me up with parts, even though he knows I don't have a project. He just gives me pieces that I can use, and I end up giving most away. So Mitch and I were like, cool, we're gonna get an 80mm turbo. That's my next favorite, 8088 billet, and we'll go faster. We'll shoot for 8s on a Gen 3 smoky long crank garbage stock 6-liter that had a broken rod to start. So again, that's the long story that we're not going over. So I'm like, you know what, we should try for 8s. And at the same time, I've been getting to know Robert from Force Performance very well, and obviously a lot of people know I work with VS a lot, quite a bit, and Varen and I are best buds, and really realistically been working together for like over 10 years, maybe even 15 at this point. I don't have the exact dates for you, but I like working with many vendors. I don't like getting one-sided, and I'm always looking for somebody to help out Sloppy. See, there's people that are like, we have a $3,000 turbo. It would be fantastic for you to use, and I'm like, well, that's out of reach. It'd be cool for a project, but it's not easily. You can't just show that to people and be like, $3,000 turbo, of course it does well. Understandably, as it should. So, in the meantime, Robert became quite the adopter of the sloppy mentality, and he has like a daily driver Tahoe, and he ended up doing somewhat of a sloppy setup on it, because he's like, what is this all about? I don't understand it. Robert builds fantastic turbochargers for a lot of high-end stuff, and he's like, I would love to get into this, not cheap market, but cost effective, right? He's like, I do the best of the best, and I don't understand why people aren't buying them. Not so much, right? So he's like, it would be cool to do a budget setup and appeal to you guys and Matt, and you know, as we got to know each other again, obviously. So he built an entire product line of budget turbochargers that's made in Texas at his facility, and not to knock on Varen at all, but Robert makes them all in-house, basically in Texas. So there's a lot of you that do not like Chinese turbos, and I can respect it 100%. So Robert is a in Texas, in facility turbo builder. Bam, right there. A lot of you guys are gonna like that. Normally you wouldn't buy Sloppy Mechanics suggested turbos, but that might change your mind. So he wanted to work with me for a project, and I was like, cool, it's really cool, but my G, I don't want to put a turbo on. It's LSA supercharged. It was. And then this car, I already have turbos for, and all, you know, full Holly sponsorship and everything else. I have everything to go in this, I just need to put it in it and the time to do it. So I said, well, you know, my buddy Mitch needs an upgrade here, and his girlfriend at the time was pregnant. So, not that he has to get rid of a race car, but it's already a mid 9-second reliable car. Spending the money on that instead of buying a crib and baby room supplies and things to keep your child alive is irresponsible, not to mention dumb. So I was like, well, Robert, I don't have anything to work with you. I would love to, it'd be cool, but I don't have anything right now that I can, you know, facilitate some sort of partnership. And I like to use the word partnership because I will only accept goods, sponsorship, if I can say whatever I want and I don't sign contracts. So Robert was totally okay with that. Holly is okay with that. All the other people I work with are okay with all of that. So let's state that. I'm not getting paid by Robert to say this is a good turbo. It's all my feelings and letting you know what happened. And I was like, well, Robert, it's not me, but I have a friend who has a car that's a perfect candidate for an update, because we were going to do it anyway. We were going to do a turbo upgrade. So if you'd like to get involved, sure. And super cool. Robert was like, well, let's do it. I will send you a turbo to upgrade Mitch's car and give me results, and we can share with everybody else. And then a lot of you might know that in a situation like this, I like to give back to the rest of you, and I asked if we can do some sort of discount or sale. I always ask if we can. If we can't, whatever. So the big deal is Robert's going to offer a discount, which I wrote all this down, honestly, because I'll ramble for 30 minutes and not get this done. So we installed an HD8088 from Force Performance, and honestly, it has been working really good. We put it on the dyno right before Mitch's kid was born. He's 3 months old now. Super cute. His name's Henry, by the way. We put it on the roller, and we had just enough time to make horsepower hits. And it picked up easily 100 horsepower down low. On low boost, it picked up 100 horsepower. And we didn't want to push it anymore without going straight to the track. To be honest, Mitch's car does not dyno well, so that's a poor excuse to show the capability of the car. It has never dynoed well, but it runs well at the track. So we're like, we got to get it to the track. And COVID and sweltering heat and tracks not being open, everything in the world you can imagine has basically slowed down this whole agreement, sponsorship, partnership with Robert. He was super cool about it. He gets it. He was never pushy, no commercial, no gain. He didn't, you know, he wanted to see an honest result. I appreciate it. I respect it a lot. And he was never pushy. And I was like, hey, you know, maybe in 60 days we'll get to the track. He's like, cool, just let me know how it goes, etc., etc. So, you know, I had a bunch of monkey fab parts. The one day, Mitch and I built a hot side for the T6 kit with a monkey fab flange, T6 flange, in 45 minutes. We built a flange. I will show you pictures of it. It is certainly ugly, but it functions beautifully. And then I had, laying around, for whatever reason, I had a EMUSA 38mm V-band wastegate. and I gave it to him and said, just buy another. And I think the identical copy was 45 bucks. So he ended up with a divided T6 kit with a divided T6 8088 from Force Performance. All of that above for 40 bucks a wastegate, and then on top of that, you know, not much incurred costs. So we used monkey fab parts, we used leftover exhaust tubing, everything else obviously normal, cheap as possible, fast as possible, because he has a young boy, and there's a lot of incredible results here. So one of the biggest takeaways is, which I want to kind of put this early in the video too, is to celebrate our goal of 8s, which the car did go 8s on the first day out, which is incredible because there's a lot to tune in for the first day out on a car. Nevertheless, A to B is a good day. Shaking it down is a good day. Getting close to where you were is an outstanding day, and breaking a personal best is pretty incredible in my opinion. The first day out, you should not expect to go better than you did. You have a lot of stuff to do. Anybody that's done it understands that. So, and as part of our what I like to do, Robert has offered a discount. Normally this turbo, the HD8088 from Force Performance, Robert Young, is $850, which is an incredible price as is already, in my opinion. No, I'm not getting paid to say that. $850 for that turbo is a great deal. It's capable of quite a bit of power in the appropriate setup, going very fast, etc., etc. You get it. He's decided to knock 200 bucks off since we went 8s with his turbo, and we fulfilled the dream, and obviously it's a success. And if you guys are looking to go more of a drag oriented setup, it's all there, it's all in. So it's $649 right now on sale, and clamp and flange will be an add-in part in the cart, so you can get the right clamp and flange right away. And again, on equal amount of boost, we picked up over 100 rear wheel on one bar, 15 pounds of boost. We went from about 660 to 775. And then our average ET was a 950, and our first day out, we went at 894, which the first day out is kind of an indicator to where you're going to start. You can always do better than your first day out. I'm sure a lot of you can understand that. So we're looking forward to going to deeper into the 8s, maybe even a mid 8-second pass best. That would be obviously incredible if we can do that. That's what we're shooting for, and I will show some of the passes. I'll show the 894. Even, to be honest, I hate being that guy that's like, there's so much left in it. But the 894 pass was not a great launch. We chattered the tire quite a bit trying to put too much power into it too soon. As a quick update for this section, I was watching it overviewing, and I wanted to update. The other turbo and setup we could leave about 8 pounds, and that was about it for first gear. And then by second gear, we had in the 13-14 range, and then it would take high gear to make close to 20 or low 20 pound range. And the HD88 and new setup was able to hit, Mitch was leaving on about 3,000 RPM and 6 pounds. And then we were trying to give it all it's got. We had a lower wastegate spring and everything, and it's running boost controller where it's catalyst. So it's running a 4-port, so it has to make boost to make boost. It has to make air pressure to push back on top. And it would go from 5.5 pounds to 22 pounds in 1 second. And the other setup would take most of the track to get the full boost. And this would go straight to full boost in under a second. Exactly about 1 second. Anyway, it was tough for us to manage. We had so much more power down low. It was tough to manage leaving the car because it would chatter the tire or do other crazy things. So we spent most of the passes dealing with too much bottom end power. So we're obviously we learned a lot about that. We're gonna work with it next time, but I wanted to throw that in there, that we had 5 pounds and then we went straight to 22 pounds in 1 second. And that was giving us an issue, is that we had too much to manage and it took a little bit to figure it out. Danced the tire all over. Mitch went significant right and almost put it into the paint of complete non-prep before the tree. Was off the limiter, steering it back to the center. Grabbed second, grabbed third, and was still went in 894. So the potential is there. It's incredible. All we got to do is get the chassis dialed in for how much power it has and everything else. But again, I really like to thank Robert for... Robert is taking a big risk, honestly, to do no sort of agreement, no contract with someone like me. I can say whatever I want. I could say it's terrible. I could get up all in my feels and be mean to Robert for no reason in all of this. But I think it's an incredible deal. If you want American made, American sold, support Robert in Texas, Force Performance with this turbo. I can't thank him enough for... He wasn't even supporting me. He was supporting my buddy Mitch. And that's incredible. Obviously, that's awesome. It shows some character and integrity there. He was trusting us to get the result, and then the result took quite a long time, let's be honest, with everything else working against us. You know, it's all part of it. So, it's a fantastic upgrade. If you want a drag race, you should definitely go straight to a T6. And in my opinion, honest opinion, the 8088 is my favorite. I had an 8088 on my Colorado. I've steered a bunch of people straight to the T6 80, because if you can fit that, you can fit a lot of other stuff. So the other turbos you can get physically in a much smaller size, but you might limit yourself completely by having to change everything you did, which is what we had to do hot side wise to fit the appropriate unit to go as fast as you want to go. So with all that said, we're going to post up this video, and at the same time we're going to link below to the product page for Robert, and it's $200 off the turbo. It's only $650 for this turbo after the sale. And best of luck to you guys. Thanks again to Robert for partnering with me on this. He didn't sponsor me. He didn't pay me to do anything. He sent the turbo and said, do and say whatever you will. Hopefully you get a good result and I don't look terrible. So straight jumping off a cliff for Robert. Greatly appreciated. We had a good result, and you guys reaped the benefits because he agreed to a discount on top of all of that. So we'll thank Mitch, we'll congratulate him on his child, and we will thank Robert, and then we will congratulate Robert on putting us into the 8s on our first day out, which is quite an accomplishment. So we'll go into further details. I'll probably show the passes first, because a lot of people don't want to listen for 16 minutes here for me to get to this point. So thanks for listening, thanks for watching, thanks to Robert, thanks to Mitch, everybody else involved. Okay, thanks, bye.